So today I'm going to be a little vulnerable and open up a bit. And I am not looking forward to it. You see, it's going to be uncomfortable for me, but it's also going to be a good thing for me to do, and hopefully it'll be a good thing for a few others to hear. Many of you who know me know that I can be very sarcastic and can come across as cold and distant at times. And I want to share a little bit today about why I'm so guarded and defensive. And ultimately my goal in this video is to make sure that I don't have to be as guarded or as defensive in the future. So today is not going to have as many clips or as many jokes, but with that said, go ahead and hit the music.
I will let you down.
Now I want to clarify something right up front. Every single human being on the face of the planet encounters some amount of pain and suffering in their life. We all go through moments where life just seems to suck. So this isn't meant to be a video about how much harder my life is than yours. I don't want this to turn into a competition of pain, because in the end, nobody wins with that. Now there are a lot of things I love about ministry. I get to watch people walk away from addictions and abuse. I get to help people see all that God has for them. I get to watch people live into the realization of God's purpose and love in their life. But I also get to be there when life falls apart. When the cancer returns, when mom dies, when you're being evicted or your utilities are being shut off, when your child ODs, and when 19-year-olds hang themselves. I've known an engagement or a marriage was going to end before the spouse or the fiancé did. I've been there and heard stories of affairs. I've had spouses look me in the eye and tell me that the abuse isn't that bad. I've had widows grab me and plead with me to bring them back while standing next to their spouse's casket. I've buried 2 teenagers, victims of suicide, and I've had at least 2 people who are close to me attempt suicide. I've closed the eyes on 80-year-olds who were so abusive their children couldn't be in the same room as them, and I have wheeled a 2-year-old down to the morgue. I've stood bedside during an emergency operation for a 4-year-old while their father assures them that everything will be okay in between his own sobs. I've watched some people die well, and most people die poorly. I've had a man look me in the eye full of terror of dying. I have fought for his life, and I lost. And all of these things have happened for me professionally, which is to say nothing of the personal struggles that have gone on in my life. The truth is, and many of you already know this, that my stoic demeanor is nothing more than a defense mechanism. It is my armor of sorts, and I have a hard time being without it. And I have a hard time without it because sometimes the only thing that can keep a broken heart together is putting the armor on tight. Now there are 2 reasons I share these things with you. First of all, I don't think it's healthy for any human being, including myself, to try and bear these burdens silently. And so I am trying to process them, and you get to bear witness to that. And secondly, it's because I know I'm not the only one who has gone through these things. EMTs, nurses, police officers, and doctors all deal with these things on a daily basis. And so do your pastors. Because when life falls apart, your pastor is one of the first people that you call. And that means that your pastor has heard about your grief, your pain, your heartbreak, your abuse, and your suffering. And I'm not guarded in those moments because I don't want to hear about that. I'm guarded because I have to go back to work after that. I have to go to a worship planning meeting, I have to write a Bible study or a sermon, or I have to go hang out with high school students. Or for some pastors, they go straight from a graveside to a soccer game. And those pastors are supposed to cheer on their sons and daughters knowing that they just helped bury a son or daughter. And pastors and clergy can't put these burdens on our families because the families are already going through their own stuff. And a pastor can't put these emotional loads back on their congregation because after all, the pastor is the emotional and spiritual lifeguard of their congregation. We're the ones who've been trained for it. But you know what they can't tell you fully in the midst of that training? It's that sometimes lifeguards drown. Sometimes pastors lose faith and want to walk away. Sometimes pastors get burnt out and don't ever want to see another human being again. Sometimes pastors want to weep and can't. I don't like being so guarded and distant. I don't like having to wear all my armor all the time. And so I'm sharing this with you. And if you're a pastor or somebody who deals with the emotional runoff of other people's lives, let me encourage you to find somebody to share the good, bad, and ugly of your day with. And if you're in a congregation, let me encourage you to stop and pray for your pastor. And I mean, take their hand, look them in the eye, and pray for them specifically. Because like I said last week, Christianity is supposed to be a team sport. If you have any thoughts or comments or questions, go ahead and post those down below. I promise my videos are usually more lighthearted than this, and if you're interested in those, go ahead and hit the subscribe banner down below. And remember, I love you and there is nothing you can do about it.